Hey guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at Tosin Adarabioyo because a lot of City fans are thinking that he should be given a chance, at least in the squad, to see if he can prove himself. So it's a pretty good video. I really enjoyed recording this. We've got two sections already recorded. So we speak to Ryan Hildred from Rovers Chat. I'm pretty sure I get that wrong on a couple of occasions. And then we go on to speak to Jaquob from Lancs Live. So obviously both covering Blackburn Rovers, where Tosin was on loan last season, played a lot of football there, apparently did really, really well. So yeah, we asked both of these guys a lot of questions about him, find out where his strengths lie and where maybe he needs to improve, and then we asked them both whether or not Tosin can actually, whether they believe Tosin can get into this City side based on what they've seen. So yeah, I think we start off with Ryan. So yeah, enjoy the video, guys. If you are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button with the notification bell turned on and smash a like on it to help other City fans find this video on our channel. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hope you enjoy. How are you doing, Ryan? You alright?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, we're all good. So we've got you on to speak about Tosin because obviously we're having some defensive issues. It sounds like there's going to be some sort of like massive overhaul at City with regards to the defence, and a lot of City fans have been asking for Tosin to come back in and at least challenge for sort of the backup spot on that right hand side, because people are losing faith in John Stones and Nicolas Otamendi, and with Garcia's future looking like it's heading to Barcelona, a lot of City fans are saying, play Tosin. He's a local lad, he's a City fan, and give him a chance. Now obviously he was at Blackburn, and by all accounts, I've got to say I didn't see any of the games that he played, but by all accounts he's had a good season. Can you just start by generalising his sort of season at Blackburn?
Yeah, he's had a very good season, to the point, where if we could have him next season, we'd have him back in a heartbeat, but I don't think that's going to happen. It took him a while to get into the side. I think it was about 8 games before he started, and really our defence as a whole took a while to get settled. But once he was in, he formed a really good partnership with Darragh Lenihan, our other centre-back, and the two of them complemented each other really well. So Lenihan is your atypical Championship defender, strong, up for headers, really physical, getting stuck in. And then Tosin, the first time I saw him, just absolute calmness personified, really good on the ball, can thread passes through into that kind of central midfield and attacking midfield area, and just never looks under pressure, just really nice and calm on the ball. And as I say, really complimentary to Lenihan. So yeah, he really shored up the centre of defence for us, because since getting relegated into the Championship and obviously further into League One, central defence has been a bit of an issue for us. So he plugged the gap for us and now leaves a gap with him going back to you. So yeah, really good season all round from Tosin, definitely.
Yeah, he almost like he solved the problem, but now has created a problem for you, because you need to now fill that gap. Yeah. You see, when Garcia's been playing, he's kind of brought that like sense of calmness to us, and I think that's why loads of City fans like are falling in love with Garcia. So for you saying that Tosin kind of brings that as well, that's a good sign, really, because obviously everyone knows that our defence is so shaky, and that's where we've had problems this season. So Tosin could, I feel like, if he has this potential that Garcia has, then he could become our second. Is he a right-sided centre-back? Yeah.
Yeah, he's right-sided. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
So he could generally come in and be our second choice right-sided centre-back, like youngster.
Absolutely. I remember the first time I saw him, I think it was Millwall at home about 8 games in, and trust me, Blackburn fans are not used to seeing defenders like Tosin, where he just did not panic at all, and you're thinking, oh my God, what the hell is he doing? And he just literally dealt with the situation, passed it out, and you're like, wow, what a player. And he's just kind of done that throughout. And I don't know if you can find it on Blackburn's YouTube or anything like that, but there's a little clip of him away at Sheffield Wednesday when we won 5-0. And he just does this little cameo for about 10 to 20 seconds where he's just kind of got the ball, trying to find his pass, takes someone on, and then threads the pass through. Just, yeah, really good on the ball. Really good.
I remember throughout the season, I keep seeing highlight videos of him, and he's passing where he breaks the lines of like the midfield straight to the attack. And that's like, obviously that's key in City, because we need like our fast build up. And that looked really good to me. And then it was around about the same time when he came out and said that he wants to come back to City and one year be a captain for us. So yeah, that was exciting for me. That's when I like remembered that we had him. That was like
Yeah.
I remembered that this guy's at Blackburn, and that's one of the main reasons why I think this is getting reignited now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what we missed was when Bradley Dack got injured. That's where, probably some of the highlight reels and stuff may have tapered off, because Tosin just seemed to be a magnet towards Bradley Dack in that area, just finding that pass through. And then Dack was able to get on his shoulder and then, go and find his next pass or get in the box and whatever. And once Dack got injured, we had to just slightly adapt how we were playing. And Adam Armstrong was the one that stepped up. But yeah, Tosin just, from the Dack injury, just became that solid presence with Lenihan at the back.
Yeah. So Blackburn, what sort of formation were they playing? Was it the traditional 4 at the back, or did you ever see him in sort of like a 3 on top of
that game he made his debut, we actually did play wing backs that game, but that wasn't the prominent formation. So he made his debut as a right-sided centre half in a 3, but it was mainly 4 at the back, and then Mowbray just trust me, it's up for debate with Blackburn fans at the moment. What goes on beyond centre midfield with Mowbray at the moment, only Mowbray knows, with like wide strikers and other stuff. But yeah, Tosin was mainly in a back 4, traditional 2 centre backs and then 2 full backs.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Now, moving on to one concern I have, that the last time I properly saw Tosin play is when he was in the academy. And I saw the calmness that you alluded to before. One thing that sort of was a slight worry even then, and you can see a lot of players in the academy, was although he was a tall lad, he didn't have a lot of muscle on him, and sometimes he did get muscled off the ball a little bit because he didn't really look strong. Now, obviously, the Championship, everyone says it's a very strong league in terms of like the physicality side. Is there any issues there, or did you not see anything like that?
No, that's exactly my view as well. Before coming on this today, I was thinking about what are his weaknesses if he's got them, and I think it's exactly that. I think he's 6'4", but I can't really remember him, winning headers like Lenihan does and like other Championship defenders do. He's not bossing people in that sense. And if you're looking at players like Mitrovic down in the Championship, he's certainly not bossing anyone like that. So I think, that is an area that he's got to improve on. But on the flip side, when you're in Man City's side, you're going to have a lot of the ball on the deck and, comfortable at that back. So he's not going to have to do that very often, is he? So he might actually not need to develop that area too much if he does end up in City's side, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And sort of finally, do you think he has the qualities from what you've seen? Obviously, I'm looking at his the amount of games that he played for Blackburn, and he played a lot of consecutive 90 minutes, and that's pretty impressive for a young lad, to get in the side for so long. So do you believe that from what you've seen he has the potential, at least not to break in as the first team, but at least be that backup centre back? Do you think he's got the qualities to do that for a Champions League side?
He does. I think he does, but I think what he needs next season is a season in the Premier League, and that's why I think Blackburn fans think that we aren't getting him, because I think if Pep has obviously got other centre-back irons in the fire or whatever to deal with Garcia going, if I was him, I'd be loaning him to maybe someone like Leeds or Fulham that have just come up, or maybe someone in that mid to lower bottom half of the Premier League, just to see if he can cut it there. But absolutely, I think he's got all the raw qualities to be a top centre back for you guys, just because you can tell he's come through your academy. You can tell that he's got that Pep mentality of how to play the game, how to keep the ball, how to stay calm in possession. You can see all of those raw attributes. He probably just needs a few more games under his belt and, be a bit more streetwise as a centre back. Those are the types of things he needs to just develop.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Ryan, thanks a lot for speaking to us. Okay, guys, so we're speaking to Jaquob from Lancs Live. Jaquob, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Good afternoon, mate. You're all right.
Yeah, we're all good. So we're talking about Tosin. Obviously, he's been at Blackburn. He's coming back to City. Now, we're not too sure what his future holds, whether it's a permanent sale, it's a loan, maybe in the Premiership, maybe somewhere else, or maybe he can actually challenge and maybe get that sort of backup. I think it's a little bit too soon to go straight into the side, but some people are saying he should go as a backup. Now, just to summarise, first of all, his season at Blackburn, if you could, how did he do?
It was very good. I think you could say from both his perspective and Blackburn's perspective, it was a successful deal all round. It sort of catered his needs and aided his development, and it was sort of like the perfect environment for him to progress. So I know I've seen him at West Brom the season before, and I think for any young player when they're going out on loan, you need that sort of consistency, and not just in team selection, but like the system that you're playing in. And he was playing at right back one week and centre back of a back three or a back four the weeks after. And obviously there was a change in management at West Brom at that time as well. And so he's come into Blackburn, and Mowbray's a big fan of him and sort of knows what he wanted in him. And at the start of the season, Rovers had their like injury troubles. They could never find a consistency in their back four. And then it was Barnsley about November time when he was injury free and was able to settle on a partnership of Tosin and Darrell Lenihan at the heart of the defence. And from then, they never really looked back. They, alongside Darrell Lenihan, they played 23 times together. Rovers only lost 6 times when they were partnering in the middle. And yeah, it's sort of the consistency which enabled him to thrive, and the partnership that he formed with Lenihan certainly flourished over the large part of the season.
Yeah, no, so that's a good point. But so on that, then you're saying that the consistency is key, and obviously you alluded to the year before at West Brom when he was sort of in and out of the team and playing right back sometimes. Now, obviously, if he was to challenge at City and take the sort of second right-sided centre-back spot, he's not going to be in the team week in, week out. So he could go a couple of weeks without a game and then be dropped in. Do you think that could then be a problem?
I don't think so. I think in terms of he needed a season this year where he could sort of the priority focus was on him in a way. I think he learned a lot about himself. In terms of sort of the hardships, I mean, Blackburn weren't really expecting to make the top 6. I mean, it was nice to be in with a chance towards the end of the season. So the pressure was off him in a way, and I think he was able to learn a lot about himself. I think, I can see him being capable of stepping in when he needs to. But it's just he was having that consistency, really, just the way in his development.
Do you think he'd be able to fit in like Pep Guardiola's style, like Pep Guardiola's system, the way that he runs it? Obviously, everyone knows that Pep is like difficult to come into a Pep side straight away. Do you reckon he'd be able to fit into this?
From a ball playing possession based perspective, the first time we've seen him playing, we thought, wow, you can tell he's sort of like a Guardiola type player. He was probably in the Blackburn squad. He was the best like ball player on the pitch. There'd be times where you sort of teams are sitting off you, and you looking for an incisive pass through, and he could play the ball between the lines, and it sort of you didn't really see it from many other players, especially from his partner Darrell Lenihan. He'd probably just knock it long, but he sort of knows when to play it short, when to try and find a pass through the midfield. His range of passing is pretty much unbelievable. He can switch it up, go short. So in terms of his possession qualities, he's probably he's a really composed outlet. And I think it kind of said when during Project Restart, Mowbray went to sort of he wanted to follow a ball retention sort of style, and he put all his focus on using Tosin as an outlet from the back, and he sort of took it in his stride. I mean, from a defensive aspect, it probably compromised Rovers a little bit, but in terms of playing out from the back, it was on his shoulders, and he took it well.
Yeah. Two questions here for you. Firstly, just so we can get a sort of a rounded picture, he's a big lad. I think Ryan said he was 6'4". So what's his pace like? Because I know City play a high line, and I'm sure if Rovers are a ball playing side, you'll be playing a high line. So what's his pace like in terms of getting back and recovering? And also, he has himself made comments that he really wants to come back to City, because we all know he's a City fan. He wants to come back to City, and eventually he wants to be the captain of the club. Now, that's obviously a bold statement. So on that, do you see, obviously I know he's young and I know it's early, but do you see any sort of leadership qualities there, or anything that's even could be developed?
So on the first one, he has got a bit of pace on him. There was a couple of times, especially during when the season was recommenced, obviously when Rovers started playing high line, Bristol City as well. I remember Nicholas Ellison getting in, and he's quite quick. and Tosin was able to recover there. And there was plenty of other times across the season as well when teams had gone long and he was present. So in terms of his athletic ability, I think he'd be able to slot right in. Aerially as well, he won plenty of headers. A lot of players sort of struggled against him and sort of leaned on Lenihan's side if they were going for a long ball approach. So in terms of that aspect, I think he's pretty spot on. But I've seen all these comments about obviously wanting to captain City and stuff, and it's clear his intentions lie with City and obviously playing in the Premier League. In terms of his leadership, I think that's something that's lacking. I couldn't really see it myself. I mean, Lenihan was captain for the games that he was playing. Elliot Bennett's like club captain, but when Lenihan was playing, he was captain, and he sort of organised the defence, like everything over the line and everything was down to him. And there was occasions where Lenihan was absent. If you start January, they were partnering together, and they partnered each other through to February. And in that time, like Rovers only conceded 6 in 9 games, and then Lenihan was suspended, and they had a Swansea and Derby in the following weeks. And it was on Tosin to sort of lead the line, and Rovers conceded 5, and they just looked disorganised. I don't think it was sort of a responsibility that he took on. So that was the one downside of his season where Lenihan wasn't present. He looked a bit lost, looked a bit lethargic, and so it sort of, I would say he had a bit of a reliance on Lenihan ordering him about, telling him where to be. So I couldn't see him taking on sort of a leadership role.
Yeah. Okay. And sort of finally, obviously you've sort of hyped him up, Jaquob. You said he could work in this Pep system. What, if any, sort of negatives or sort of development areas would you say, especially thinking about the sort of style that Pep plays? What sort of things would you think he has to improve on to really try and work his way into the squad?
I think obviously the art of any defender is to be able to tackle, and I think that's probably one big part of his game that he probably would like to work on a lot more. In terms of being able to get back and stuff, is okay, but his positioning could also do with like tweaking. There were times where he was either, in terms of the line, he was either too deep or too high, and then when covering up a marker, there's some question marks over where he should have been and stuff. So positioning is definitely another area where he needs to improve. But there was also times as well in the season where he just looked complacent, and his performance sort of mirrored the rest of the team.
Yeah.
And it's just his whole demeanour when on the ball or out of possession, it was just lacked any intensity or anything, and it sort of shown. And if you expect it's one week he'd be an immense player, he'd be like one of the best players on the pitch, and the next he just looked disinterested. And I don't think he can afford to do that, especially in a Guardiola team.
Yeah. Okay, so do you think after everything you've seen, there is I don't know if you've seen him previously at West Brom, and obviously you've seen him a lot for Blackburn. Do you think then, based on what you've seen, he has the potential to sort of work his way into Pep's side, or do you think that actually no, this season he needs to maybe go on loan, or do you think actually that no, based on what you've seen, he's nowhere near, and actually his best option is to a permanent move away from the club?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one because I do like him a lot, but I don't think he'd be any more than perhaps a squad player. Maybe I don't know. I think he needs a chance. If you were to partner him with, say, Laporte, it would probably bring the best out of him. And I'd say he probably looked pretty accomplished. But at his age now, he's sort of at that crossroads where I don't think he can afford to go out on another loan. Really, he's had like two productive loan spells. And I think if he can't sort of force his way into the City side now, then I don't think he ever will. There's definitely a good player in there. Whether he's capable of being able to compete, especially at the heights that you guys are competing at now, remains to be seen. I know he's set on. He wants to play in the Premier League, wants to be City captain, but I do think he is probably Premier League level. But whether he's capable of obviously featuring in the City side, I think that's one that we need to see before we can make a judgment. But I'm probably doubt it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to see what happens and see whether Pep gives him that chance. But yeah, thanks a lot, Jacob, for coming on. That's Jacob from Lancs Live, talking about Tosin. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I learnt loads of information about that Tosin's time at Blackburn. Hope you guys did too. Smash a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Make sure you comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on Tosin. Does he get a chance in this Pep team next season? Thanks a lot for watching, guys. See you later.